What's good, everybody? I am here today it is March 20th, 2026, and I'm recording a weekly recap for this week, which was from March 16th to March 20th. And like I said in my previous video, I'm not going to be posting a recap or like a market review every single day anymore because it was just getting repetitive, especially with my low frequency. It was just the same thing every single day. I would post saying, oh, I didn't see anything, this, that, and the third, this price action, that. And I just felt like it was a waste of content. And instead, I'm only going to post trade recaps on days that I actually take a trade. And then, regardless of whether I take a trade or not, I will post a weekly recap at the end of every single week. So this week I didn't take any trades. Here is proof on my P&L. It is the same P&L that it was in the last video, and it's the same P&L as it was since the last time that I took a trade, which was, I think, somewhere in the beginning of this month, where I won a trade. Uh, Zero P&L for the day. And yeah, proof that I didn't take trades the whole week. Same P&L. So getting right into it, I'm not gonna cover Monday because I did cover that in a market review video. So I'm just gonna go to Tuesday, and there's gonna be a lot of like cuts and stuff in this video just because I'm gonna be checking back in my journal notes to see what happened on each of the days, because obviously I don't remember it off the top of my head. I don't remember what my bias was and all that. So I'm gonna read through my notes and then unpause this and continue with it, just so I don't make this a 40-minute long video. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible. So let me get right into it. All right, so I am here on Tuesday, and I'm just using the replay mode just so I can go back and easier explain everything. So here at market open, I did kind of have a mixed bias. I was leaning slightly bullish, but I had a mixed bias because, well, overall, we swept this low, got displacement up, but started to disrespect this leg. So at that point, it was like, all right, we're kind of still in this chop. But if we are bearish, we should come up into this daily gap and reject it and get a short. However, we did do that here later in the day on Monday. On Monday, if you watched that video, I was trying to long to this daily gap. We never got it. And it ended up getting hit later in the day, displaced lower, but now it started to displace back higher near the opening price of Tuesday, which, if we are truly bearish and this was the reaction, it shouldn't be retracing all the way here. It would have dumped through. Now, ES did already take the high again, but we didn't have any type of rejection. So what I wrote down was, if at market open we displace higher, if at market open we start to rapidly displace lower, then that'll be the reaction that I was waiting for, and I'll be bearish. But if we start getting some type of like pullback, generating liquidity, and get along, then I'll stay bullish. That's just how, structure works. That if the structure looks like this, you just rapidly shoot down, then that's showing that, okay, that's a displacement. But if it starts doing something like this, starts making trend line liquidity, maybe like an equal high here, and then you get an inversion, this isn't displacement. This is more of accumulation and a manipulation leg, and it should continue higher. And we ended up not doing either of those, and just ended up displacing higher. So at this point, we did displace through this previous day high. So to me, that was like, all right, we're bullish, we're pretty bullish, and I want to see this high get taken out. And I wanted to get along to this high because we were getting close to it. ES was close to it too. So what I wanted to see was some type of clean pullback. Maybe soup these lows over here if it's a clean soup with some type of internal target. That would be nice. Or come down, maybe get an SMT or something with this low, sweep out this low, and get a long. And I really liked it. I wanted to get the longs here. Now, coming down here, I don't think I was really looking. Actually, I think I did want to take this 1 minute inversion because NQ tapped the 5 minute, ES tapped the 15 minute, took out this low. Or yeah, NQ also hit the 15 minute and ES took out this low. So we had an SMT over here like that. And I was looking actively to take this 1 minute inversion. It was at the time the highest time frame inversion in the leg. So I was looking to take it. We had LRL, we had a relative equal high, we had an equal high. So I really wanted to take this long. And we didn't get the inversion here. So we're still waiting on it. And then we started getting rejection. And at this point, if we closed above this high, that would have been an order block. I still would have entered it, but we ended up just going lower, rejecting it. And at this point, ES was kind of nearing this low. So I was waiting for that. Now it finally got hit. And I don't think there was an inversion here. Yeah, this was the manipulation leg. There was no 30-second in here. There was no 1 minute. There was a 2 minute, 3 minute. Yeah, there was a 3 minute, but the close that we got could not have entered all the way there. And maybe there was a 5 minute. There was this 5 minute inversion, which I also could have taken. I think I was also looking to take this on this 5 minute inversion. Stop loss would have been like here, I guess, and targeting this high. The RR was there, internal targets are there. It's all good. However, you zoom in on here, we didn't actually inverse. I didn't like this as much as I would have liked for us to get along here and then would have just break even at the 5 minute, but I was still down to take it. However, I wanted the close to actually be strong. Like maybe get a close here, something like that. If it was by a tick, I would not have taken it, but we literally didn't close above it. It didn't inverse, so I didn't take that. That did inverse, but like that's weak. And then at this point, it's like, all right, it took 3 candles. We kind of like chopped around here. I don't really want to be in this anymore. And it ended up failing, I think, right? Yeah, it ended up failing. And at this point, it was already too late. And I wasn't looking for trades anymore on this day. Now moving on to Tuesday. Or Wednesday, I mean, sorry. Okay, we are now on Wednesday. And coming into this day, I was bearish. Reason being, we are rejecting this daily gap. The daily candle in PO3 got an open high, and now is displacing lower. We were displacing through all the lows in this leg. This is not, like I was talking about structure earlier, this is not reversal structure, this is continuation structure. And we had these lows stacked up over here. I was looking for a continuation to just take out all these lows over here. Now, this was a PPI day. There was PPI news right here, this candle. And no, this candle was the PPI. I'm gonna mark it out. And this candle was just an equal high, also a 5 minute gap, I think. And the thing about this day is that there was PPI and the FOMC later in the day. I don't trade PM, so I don't trade FOMC. But a lot of the times the AM session before FOMC sucks. So it's kind of weird, like, yeah, PPI is a volatility injector, but at the same time, we have FOMC later, so like it kind of messes everything up, makes it all weird. So I was bearish. What I wanted to see was for us to either start to displace lower at open and just get a continuation to these lows over here, or come higher and rebalance this entire range. Like, take out this data high because that is a strong draw. I wouldn't be wanting to, I'm not going to short here because like there's no manipulation. I'd want to see us to manipulate at least to this high, but if we manipulate to this high, this is right at your stop loss. So I would want to see both of these get taken and then get a short. Now, we ended up just chopping around. Very weak displacement, like weak manipulation leg kind of. Big displacing candle, but this high was right here. I'm not gonna, it doesn't matter. Mechanically, yes, we're respecting the 15 minute, blah, blah, blah. But you have to add discretion. Discretionally, you can see that this high is right here. It's right at your stop loss. There is no SMT with it. There is nothing. So that's why that failed. This one, what was here? It was a 1 minute, and I still didn't want to take this, even though the manipulation leg was clean, the inversion was clean. I didn't want to take it because the data high was still right there. It's not a protected data high. It's not like the data high manipulated up into like a gap or something and displaced lower. No, it's literally just there. It's just the data high. Stuff like that should be taken. Sometimes you can like expect it not to be taken when it manipulated into something, making it a protected high, but this is not a protected high whatsoever. So I still wanted it to get hit, and so I did not take this trade, and rightfully so. It just ended up chopping, and especially at 10 a.m. open or prior to 10 a.m. open, when you start seeing chop like this, and you're in a trade, that's not a good idea, because accumulation, manipulation, distribution, price usually accumulates before key open, meaning that it's going to manipulate. Now that ended up not really happening. It just chopped. Like this trade would have played out if you didn't go break even, but I definitely would have went break even at this low. Although it did play out, I do not care. It's not a trade that I liked. Still would have been more A+ for me to see this high get taken out. Now we didn't get that. Over here made an equal low. I did start looking for a continuation short here, if we could pull back into this 5-minute gap. But I'm pretty sure we just didn't get that, right? Started to chop again, and at this point it was already 11 a.m. Too late for me to take a trade. So that's it for Wednesday. Now moving on to Thursday. Okay, now we are on Thursday, and I remember this day because it was yesterday, and I was bullish on this day. Reason being, ES took the previous week low. There was an SMT with it, and if you just look on the lower time frame, there are all these targets here. Like I was talking about structure, this isn't continuation structure. We didn't displace quick. This is choppy. Look on the 1 minute. It's all just stacked up highs over here, stacked up highs. So that's what made me bullish. However, there wasn't really anywhere to long from because we didn't displace higher from this previous week low sweep. So what I wanted to see was for us to, also another reason to be bullish was that we have a devil's mark on the 6 a.m. 4-hour candle. That's what made me very bullish. I would not want to short with that here, especially with all these stacked up highs. Now, what I wanted to see personally was for us to just displace higher at open. Doesn't matter if we resweep below. I wanted to get displacement higher and get a continuation long. I do not like catching reversals, and I'm going to get into it. There was a trade opportunity. It ended up being a break-even trade, but I did not take it. I'm going to explain why. I do not like to take higher time frame reversal trades. Like this is a higher time frame reversal trade. It's a sweep. Like we're in a downtrend right now on the 4-hour, and to try to catch this whole entire reversal, I don't like to do that. I like catching bottoms. Every time I try to catch a bottom on a higher time frame reversal, it always messes me up. When it's like the type of reversals that I do like to take is, let's say we're in like a 4-hour uptrend. So higher time frame, we are bullish, but I can take a lower time frame reversal because, for example, higher time frame, yes, let's say this is a 4-hour, we are trending up, but maybe on the 15-minute, we're trending lower because this retrace, although on the 4-hour, it just looks like a retrace, making a new lower high, or a new lower, higher low. On the 15-minute, there's a downtrend within here. So it's a lower time frame reversal, but it's a higher time frame continuation. That's the type of reversals I like to take. I do not like to catch higher time frame reversals. When it's a higher time frame reversal, I'd rather have it sweep the low, leave without me, and then I just catch a continuation long after it displaces. You know, it's higher probability because catching the bottom is hard for me personally. Now, it is something that I will definitely backtest because I do see this scenario happen a lot where we take out a certain draw or reversal point pre-market, and then we just resweep the low at market open and get a trade from there. So I will definitely backtest it. That's another reason I didn't want to take it, is because it's just not something that I backtested. So that would be a rule break if I took it without backtesting. So at market open, It displaced lower and made an SMT at this low. And then over here was the 5-minute inversion, was a clean inversion. The stop loss was also pretty big. It was like 100-point stop loss or something like that, or 80s, I don't know, whatever. That's not what really bothered me. So at this point, I just wanted to see displacement higher and open up some type of 5-minute gap to get a pullback to it and a long. And over here at 10 a.m. open, we opened up a 15-minute gap. And what I wanted to see was, okay, we have all these stacked up highs. This is all draws, so any type of pullback and inversion from a 5 or 15-minute for rally gap will be valid for me to take. And we just never got that pullback to the 15-minute gap. Over here, we manipulated higher. I didn't really like the structure to this because we manipulated higher first. I didn't like that. And there was an inversion right here. Draw that out. This little 1 minute. And I didn't take it, even though everything was there. Yes, we swept this 15-minute. The inversion was there. Internal targets, whatever. Why didn't I take it? One, this is my internal high right here. We made an SMT with it. ES took it. That's my break-even point. I can't take this trade. Ended up not playing out. Also, just didn't like the structure. This chop leading up to it wasn't that clear. Didn't like that we manipulated higher first. After that failed, I was still looking for a short or a long here. But we just ended up displacing through here and inversed this 15-minute gap, as you can see. And at this point, I was not looking for longs anymore because there was no long spot, nowhere for me to long from. I didn't want to see a resweep of this low again. So I was done for the day after this. And I think, yeah, it just chopped for the rest of the AM session. So, yeah, now moving on to Friday. Just today, I'm not going to have to cut anything because I just remember it happening. Coming into this day, at market open, I was bullish. Where were we at market open? I was leaning bullish just because ES did take previous week low, and now overnight we reswept this low that took previous week low, and we were displacing higher at market open. We were around here, I think, something like that. Yeah, and we have all these highs over here. So I had two scenarios, or I drew out three scenarios. It was, okay, we're either going to let me get my brush. At market open, we are either gonna, what I would like to see is displace higher, making like showing, okay, we want to take out these highs because we shouldn't, if the price action is good, we should not reverse off of this zone. This is liquidity. It should take out the zone. If we want to reverse, it should be from here or here or whatever. So we will either displace higher, get some type of pullback, and then get a long, or scenario number two, which is what I would have wanted to ideally see, is this is the last low in this leg. Like, I wouldn't want to sweep at this, wouldn't want to sweep at this, wouldn't want to sweep at this. I do want to sweep at this, however, for longs. We would come down here, build up some structure, maybe build up like an equal high, something like that, take out this low and get an inversion and get a long. Or we just displace through this, you know, get like a big dump like it did here, which isn't like reversal continuation structure. It is, okay, we're reversing here. This was the sweep, this was the manipulation, and this is reversal because this is a displacement leg. This was not a manipulation leg. Now, that's what we ended up getting. And at this point, I was leaning more bearish because I didn't want to really long from this spot anymore unless we got a clean resweep. But we ended up not getting that. Instead, there was a 5-minute gap here. I still wouldn't have wanted to take a short here just because we still could have reswept the low and gotten something. But I was leaning kind of bearish. This is also something I would backtest is like, okay, when we're displacing structure like this, I can just immediately, the first 5-minute gap, take a short. I didn't really want to do that here. I wanted to wait for the confirmation and get a short to this low, but we ended up displacing through this low. And at this point, even though ES already took previous week low, I expected NQ to now take it because we weren't getting any type of rejection off of it. Now let me delete all these drawings. At this point, there were 2 5-minute gaps in this leg. I wanted the second higher one to get hit because it is more premium, and there was an equal high in there. It would have just been cleaner for that to happen. But we ended up never getting that. We just chopped around. We did hit the first 5-minute gap. No inversion in this leg regardless. And yeah, nothing ended up happening. We just chopped for the rest of the day and ended up taking no trades this week. So yeah, that's all for this week, and on to the next.